Right, we are live with our boy Sia. How you doing, man?
All good. I thought you were showing the great pre-show content, which is the best. So now I have to step up again.
Exactly. No, man. You're top. Everybody that's in the chat right now, welcome. We're doing another live podcast, and of course, this time our boy Sia. We've been friends for quite some time. We were texting across that we need to talk about Inter and a bunch of other stuff. Because listen, Sia, when we put out the tweet to ask you questions, a lot of them were about one topic that we know we'll get to. But we're gonna diversify. We're gonna talk about everything. Am I right?
Yeah. I think it's good, like to because people just talking about Inter is what I do all the time. So if people want to ask other things like journalism or visiting the stadium or not Inter's goalkeeper, hopefully you can feel free to ask. I'll ask. I'll probably answer 99% of your questions that aren't too private. For the football things and the stadium and the Italy things, mostly for the guys who can't go to Italy, I'm here because I did some trips during the years and I saw some good games.
Nice. I like how you said 99% because there's always gonna be that 1% that you cannot answer.
Yeah. The guys who don't understand where the limit is. But
Yeah.
I usually like I you probably saw it on Twitter as well. I usually answer 99% of the people, even the guys who comes with insults. So I'm quite open and quite good at answering questions. So
That's what we were saying before we started. We were saying the thing I like about you, and I think the reason why you and I have always gotten along, is that we could kind of take a joke and we can have some fun and mess around and use social media. What we're just saying with Twitter, you have fun. You don't take everything too seriously, and even if you support different teams, even if you disagree, you can find the humor in it.
yeah, I think it's important, especially in these days. Especially Twitter is very toxic. It's very filled with hatred, and it's a lot of blaming going on. And I think many times people should just have a laugh instead of getting so angry. But it's a toxic environment, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of what we're always going through. But it's all good. And now listen, I know Michael is very happy right now because he's got another fellow Inter fan on, and Michael's been pushing the Inter train for quite some time. So, Mike, how you feeling
Yeah.
right now? You happy?
I'm feeling good right now. Last season, I was really excited for Inter. They probably had the busiest mercato, and this season too. Don't know too much about him, but I heard he's apparently probably one of the better wing backs right now in football. So excited to see him. Left wing back, we got what do you call it? Ashley Young over there, and they recently got
Kolarov?
Kolarov. So listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Kolarov, but Conte. I'm putting my faith on Conte because for the most part he did as much as he could for it being the first season at Inter and stuff like that. So I give him a lot of props for that. I think he got way too much criticism for what happened last season and him apparently almost leaving Inter in this off season right now would have been crazy because he done so well. But yeah, I'm really excited for the future. And Vidal's about to come. I'm really excited for Vidal. I think he can bring so much. I think he's a winner. So I think Inter are favorites for next season for the Scudetto for sure.
Mike just loaded everything in one. He talked about Hakimi, he talked about Vidal, he talked about Conte leaving, and then he said their favorites was Scudetto.
I'm just excited. I'm excited for Inter next season.
Bro, first of all,
Really excited.
let's end with how the season. How did you think about last season? What had happened? How it finished? All that good stuff.
No, I think it was a good season. I think, like, it's funny because 3 weeks before the season ended, you didn't really know if, like, 3 or 4 weeks before, you didn't know if Inter was going to end fourth or fifth or second or third or first. But so back and obviously hadn't made the Europa League final yet. But so I think how things turn out and how Inter finished beating Napoli, beating Atalanta away, and making the final made it a really good season because I people that follow me probably know, but for those who don't know, I didn't see Inter as the favorite going into that season, and we can come back to it later, but I don't see them as favorite this season either. I think last season I said Inter should finish third behind Napoli and Juve. So Napoli obviously wasted their season with Ancelotti, but for the rest, I think seeing Atalanta and Lazio how good they did, Inter had a good season. So I think what's worth to mention with the Europa League is that I'm not sure that Inter would have made a final if that Europa League would have been played during the season. I think Conte would more or less do what every Italian team does and say, no, we're not taking this seriously because we're just getting a shitload of injury for playing away in Ukraine at Thursday night before going to have a derby on Sunday. So, but seeing how things turn out, I think it was a really good season. And I remember you guys posted this quote from Conte that said that the stats show that Inter was the best performing team. And people got really angry about it. But when I watched the numbers, like the offensive numbers, Inter were top in, created chances, the times they come into the final third, like the stuff that football analytics is about. And I think that's something important to keep building on, and that's the important thing with keeping Conte, because you can give continuity to the good stuff last year. You can give continuity to creating so many chances, to attacking with so many players, to scoring with so many players, to having a solid defense, So I think the season was obviously positive. I think that Inter should have won the Europa League final. I think Conte could have done better there. I think the team was unlucky to go out of the Champions League on goal difference, but in the end they messed it up. And there are the reasons, but the facts are that Inter messed that up and they lost the final. But the final would have been a super bonus. It wasn't something I expected Inter to win before the season. So I think finishing second, 1 point behind Juve, even if it wasn't. So people say we finished 1 point behind Juve, we should win, but that wasn't really
1
point. Juve stopped playing. But the signal, I was one of those who said we need to go for it, because the signal the players get and the fans get should be that, we're just a step away. And even if it's not right, that has to be the belief. So last season was really good. Some things could have improved. With Conte especially, some things he did and didn't do was, of course, to be improved. But the season was very positive.
I think also a lot of the expectations came with, it was also the first time Conte joined the team and didn't win. So he was kind of like his own worst enemy in constantly winning. When he went to Juventus, when he went to Chelsea, that, you expected him in his first year, he's going to transform this team, they're going to win. But he probably never went up against a team as strong as Juventus with a team like Inter that he had. Even though, he took over a 7th place Juve, that Milan was not as strong, individually at least, like this Juventus. So I think he was kind of his own worst enemy in that. And then, of course, you have guys like, Antonio for our podcast who just pushed on the agenda that they're going to win the triplete right away, and with those expectations. And I think, a lot of banter going in there. But I think if you look at it from an unbiased perspective, as much fun as you want to have with it, or as much you want to say that Conte made mistakes, because I definitely agree with you that, certain decisions and the stubbornness of Conte continue to show that he has not improved that over his years of coaching. You can't say that it wasn't a positive season. I've never seen Inter as solid in the past, 9 years.
Since the treble, this was the best points that they had. I mean, it's no assuming. They had a fantastic season. Unfortunately, they could have won some silverware at the end of the day, but you can't take away. It was inches, That's how close they were.
I think the cup, the cup semifinals against Napoli, Inter, on a normal day, they win those two games, sure. 2-3-0. But that's the thing with football. That's why we love football, because football is unpredictable. You can't predict it like that, And sure. I think for me, I agree with the analysis also on this first Juve, because if you look at that Juve, it was an amazing team. It was really good players. They came from a really bad season. They got really lucky when they got that Montari goal not going in, because that probably decided the season. I think Conte's biggest achievement wasn't the Juve part; it was the Chelsea part, where he went up, against real good coaches, real good teams. Um, but I think, this Inter, right? People forget quickly, and this Inter got rid of Mauricardi, that's, scored more than 100 goals the last couple seasons. They got rid of Ivan Perisic, who was a key point, goals and assists and kilometers player, and who went on and won the treble. They got rid of Raja, who, even though he had a bad season, was a key player in that Spalletti game. And I think the only guy who was truly replaced was Icardi, because you got Lukaku, but the rest of the team was incomplete. And I think in order to compete on the three tournaments, Inter would have needed one midfielder and one third or fourth striker, in order to a guy, Giroud or anyone who does 10, 15, Dzeko, for example, who does 10, 15, 20 goals in Serie A. Because when you have that kind of player, you don't have to ask for Lukaku to play 30 games.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
for Lautaro, who is, people forget that Lautaro is like 22, 23 years old. And as a striker, you're at your best probably 2 or 3 years after that, if you're not, Holland or these guys. But, so I think going into the season, I saw a Napoli team which was really good last season, which signed good players, and who I think should have competed for the Scudetto, going down 20 points from Inter. I saw a Roma team that, I didn't feel so sure about. I saw a Milan team with the same. And then I could never expect Atalanta and Lazio to perform as they did. But I think more than that, last season, the gap between Juve and Inter before starting the league, like people say, oh, they took in Sarri and the team wasn't built for him. No, it wasn't. But it was still the best team. And it was still a good enough team to win with, seeing how the squads were. So there are many ifs and buts and don'ts, and, but if in the end, you have to watch the team. You have to watch the players. Who are the players? Did they change the coach? Did they replace the guys who left or not? And if you answer all those questions, you might say, this is a solid contender. And I think already this year, Inter hasn't got rid of the coach. They're building on it. And also that's something that you can say, this is a change. Like, we don't know Pirlo either, but if we just watch Inter, right? If we see, can Inter contend or can't they contend? The squad is good. The coach is still there, so you have that advantage. What's missing? Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 players, but you're more or less there and can go for it. But for me, Juve is still the favorite because they're the team to beat.
We'll definitely get into that. I'm laughing as I read some of the comments. I see somebody who said, where's Antonio? If Antonio was here, him and Sia would be fighting. So it's funny. As I told you, Sia, we told Antonio that we were going to speak with you. And right away, he figured out a way to FaceTime us. It took him a little while. He couldn't figure out how to press the FaceTime button, but he got it. And he said, record me right now. I'm going to ask him a question. So we'll show you the question in a little while. I just wanted to address the people in the comments. We got a donation from Clifford, who asked the question right away. He said, what's been the best transfer in Serie A this offseason? Personally, I think it has to be Tonali, because he immediately brings a young start to AC Milan. So we had this question asked last time on our podcast, and Inter fans were not the happiest based off of the players that we chose, where it was, specifically the question was about Kulusevski to Juve, Tonali to Milan, and Hakimi to Inter. Out of those 3, who would you say is the best signing?
I think Hakimi. I think the guy. So I obviously rate Kulusevski very highly, and I rate Tonali very highly as well. But what's his name? Hakimi was, guy was really good in the Champions League. He was really, really good in Bundesliga, and not for a small team, for Borussia Dortmund. He was, in some stats better than Alphonso Davies, in some stats slightly worse, playing for a worse team. I think if if I look at Tonali and if I look at Kulusevski as well, I think Kulusevski is a player that will become one of the best. I think
Really?
that he will become a star, and I think he has the hunger, the passion, the talent, everything needed, and he's at the right club as well. But the thing with Kulusevski, and I think that will go for Tonali as well, is I don't know if they will, straight away go into this team, start and deliver. But with Hakimi, even if he doesn't start straight away, I saw Kandreva, perform 15 points last season. I saw Ashley Young perform 10 points last season. And I see Hakimi with the pace that he got and with the amount of crosses and the dribblings and the flair that he comes into Conte's system. Like if you would have asked me this question and Allegri was the coach, I probably would have said, for me, Kulusevski is the best signing, or Tonali. But seeing this guy comes into a system that is more or less made for him, for me, it's the best signing in Serie A so far.
So I really love that you gave perspective to that too. Because Peter, when he was on the podcast, we asked him the question, and he made a very good point that I didn't consider. I wasn't considering who would be the best player for the team. And I do agree, even though my answer was Tonali, because I really love Tonali, and I think he's the future of Italy. I just rate him as a midfielder. Hakimi is the best player for Inter because he helps out in a position that they've been lacking since the days of Maicon. So in that regards, he is the most important signing for Inter. My best player, personally, again, it's hard because they play different positions. It's honestly, it's a perspective thing. Michael would have one answer. You have one answer. I have one answer based off how we watch football. That's why I had said Tonali. But I think it is a good perspective that what you're saying, even the coach, the system, all that stuff boils down. And we know that Inter's getting a player in a position that they've been lacking for a long time. And you know Hakimi really well. So you think he's going to become that guy that Inter's been missing?
I think in all of these, I think the thing with Hakimi in difference from Kulusevski and Tonali is he comes from a different league. So you always have to give in. And also Conte, he breaks the balls with the wing back position because, you have to defend and you have to do stuff. But I think you give him some time to adapt. But the thing is with Hakimi, seeing how he delivered for his teams and coming more or less from the same system, I'm expecting him to go in and deliver straight away. He's a young player as well, comes from another country, but I think his characteristics gives him everything to deliver straight away and to be or become the guy who Inter needs. I think that's with Tonali that I would have loved. I would have loved for Inter to sign Vidal and Tonali because you get one old guy and one young guy, and I think we talked about that earlier. I think that on Twitter, I think that the guy would get to play because you played 3 tournaments. Of course you're going to play. And I think the thing we will see that will be interesting to see at Milan with Tonali is he the guy that the team desperately needs? No, I don't think so. But is he the guy who could carry their midfield 10 years forward if he's good enough and if he, comes into the system good enough? Yes. But the question you have to ask yourself is, will he bring Milan to play the Champions League? Like that's like in the end of the season, when we look back at this and have our laughs because we were all wrong, like you always are. We have to consider that, and I think Tonali is fantastic signing, good price, good time. He's a Milan fan. I love to see the fan coming to the team that he loved as a child. But what difference will he make? And for me, Hakimi will make a bigger difference now and maybe even 5 years forward. But so that's my take on it with the biggest, because I have watched Tonali and I have never dropped my jaw. But he played for really, really bad Brescia. But so that's the interesting thing. How will he react in a big club? How will he react when there's 80,000 people at San Siro and he, as a fan, feels the pressure of having to deliver? So
true.
that's not easy, and so that's the thing that I think that's what impressed me with Kulusevski. He's also young, but he went in and what is it? 10 goals, 8 assists. That's amazing numbers, and I think the guy. He's played winger, he's played central midfielder, he's played striker. He can
He's
play
all over the place.
probably everywhere. But I think that guy is, and I'm from Sweden, of course, so I'm a bit partial in this, but that's probably how you guys feel about Tonali. But I think Kulusevski, he's the real deal. And I think that Hakimi will deliver straight away for Inter. I think that Tonali and all of these guys that are young need to be given a bit of patience and a bit of time.
That's
but
true.
Then, there we go.
That's true.
They're hard.
You brought up you wanted to sign Vidal or Tonali, but to put you on the spot, if you're Conte, right, and you can only sign one, or you're Inter, you can only sign one, Vidal or Tonali, who are you taking?
Yeah, this is a hard one because my point has always been one shouldn't exclude the other. But if I'm Conte, I take Vidal.
If you're
Because
Inter?
I have... yeah. It's a tough one, because if I want to win today, I probably go for Vidal.
But Sia, do you agree? Do you agree with Conte's thing with winning today rather than tomorrow?
But I don't really agree with the thing because I think that the team is young and you need to balance it out. So now obviously everyone is saying Inter, is an old team and all of that, but the guy. You got Bastoni, who's 12 years old. You got Hakimi, who is 12 years old. You got Lautaro, who's 12. Yeah. You got Barella. All of these guys are young. True. You got Handanovic, but he's a goalkeeper, so his age doesn't really matter. And then you got, who you got? You got Kolarov, who will be probably central back. You got Young, who also is older, and then it's a good mix. So I think Conte, more than, I think people focus a bit too much on the age. Because if you look at the player types, they're different. Vidal, he gives you, the aggressivity. He gives you the experience, the will to win, the
grinta.
Yeah, the grinta, the guy is a monster. When he faced Inter with Barca, it was an absolute nightmare. Whilst Tonali, for me, is a different kind of player, and I see a lot of people comparing him with Pirlo, and I think they're even different, those two guys, because I don't think he's as good as a long passer, for example, that Pirlo was. Pirlo, you could give him the ball in front of the defense, he'd find the winger with one pass. So I think people, this Mercato, they've been looking too much on the age of Vidal and on the age of Kolarov. And especially when it comes to Vidal versus Tonali, it's been like one's 33 and the other guy is 20. But they're different players. They're so different.
That's true.
And for me, and I think Marotta, it probably hurt for Marotta to say no, to give Tonali away, because he probably would have wanted the guy to strengthen the midfield for the 10 coming years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to give Conte the type that he lacks, he needs Vidal more than Tonali.
You see, I understand that. I do. The only thing is, it changes for me when you have a guy like Nainggolan who's coming back and who's going to be in the type. Who, for me, Nainggolan is very similar to that Vidal. So I think you could have had a balance of getting that Tonali while you still have that Grinta type player who's already on your team. But either way, there's perspective to everything. Like you said, what you would want and what Conte would want, they'd all be different. We have a donation.
And there,
yeah.
Sorry, I just have to say this. And there, I think, for me, Vidal and Nainggolan, they don't exclude each other. Like, for me, Conte, and I think those two guys are a bit different as well, because Raja got the more, for me, offensive qualities. He has the long shot, he has the assist, he has the power into the box. Whilst in Vidal, probably you get that high pressure, regaining the ball higher up in the field. And I also, for me, I don't know if Raja will remain. You don't know that until it's done and dusted. But today I see an Inter where you don't have a reliable third or fourth striker. So if Lukaku is injured, right, and Lautaro is injured,
Yeah,
you have Sanchez.
Yeah.
And then you might have to consider playing with Nainggolan and Eriksen, behind one striker. Just to give you an example of and then you can have Vidal behind those guys. Like, for me, they don't exclude each other. They're similar, I agree, but I don't think they exclude each other. And I see some people say, why sign Vidal when you have Nainggolan? But guys, Vidal, he won everywhere. he's a true, champion type. And Raja, that I love as a player, he hasn't done anything in comparison to Vidal.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I wouldn't say they necessarily would exclude each other, but I'm just saying when you start, balancing profiles and you got to take counterparts into it, you start thinking, all right, I could get Tonali and he builds for the future, and I think it's also a little overrated that Tonali can't fit into the team. I see some people saying, oh, he would be on the bench or this and that. I think it's a little bit overrated, but anyway, it's all perspective, and the decision hasn't been made.
Tonali would surely play, but
so.
And
Not
I don't
immediately.
think
so.
Vidal excludes Tonali. I just think at this moment the priority is that, and I also think that when he understood that Milan could actually get him, I think he made it, because there was a similar situation with Barella, when Inter was taking time last year, and they said, Roma has made an offer, we want to do it, but then the difference there was Barella wanted Inter.
Yeah.
And if Tonali wanted Inter, he would have probably waited until, the things were done. But he didn't want anymore.
You're triggering Mike with every word that you say about that.
No, but
True.
that's football.
That's
That's what happens. So
It's a Maldini charisma.
You have to respect that, because I think every time something like this happens, people point fingers. Inter's mistake. They just signed zombies, and everything is shit. But things happen for reasons, and I hope that the reasons will be good. Like, maybe in a year there's some other guy from Brescia who's 18 years old and this good, and you sign that guy. Who was it that left Juve and people were crying? Caldara.
Caldara. Yeah.
And what happened to the guy?
Yeah, exactly.
He's just getting playing time now.
Well, he's been
And
injured
people
too.
They were complaining
part of it.
because Bonucci came back.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. No, it's true. It's true. You looking back, it's always easy. We have a donation from Herman. He said, "I love you guys. I just read that if Inter sells Dalbert and others, they're gonna buy Marcos Alonso. What do you think about it? Pazza Inter Amala."
For me, that's my
think?
best name. That's my. There's a lot of talks about Emerson Palmieri, but for me, Marcos Alonso is my preferred player. He hits the free kicks. He's still got that good left foot. He knows Conte. He knows Italy. For me, it's a perfect signing if they can get him, but I don't know if they can manage to.
Another donation from Clifford. He said, I would say that Inter has gone after old players this offseason, but looking at the roster as of right now, they have a nice mix of experience and young players, a lot of class in that Inter squad. It's coming from a Juve fan. We got to ask you, because this is like the number one question. We're going to the Handanovic one because we waited too long. If I read, should I read a specific question? For the people that don't know, I guess... you're famous for the quote-unquote hatred of Handanovic, which I know you're going to stand up for because of all the love that he gets. But the question that I'm reading is, why does Sia hate Handanovic so much?
So I think I don't hate Handanovic. So it's actually become a thing that's become jokes in the end because it's so exaggerated. But the thing with me and Handanovic is that I rate him much less than very many Inter fans do and very many Serie A fans do. And I think this thing, I went to San Siro and I saw a lot of games. And when you see football at the stadium, at least for me, it changes a lot of perspective because you see and feel a lot of things that from the TV screens is hard to get. And like my first problem with Handanovic was his rebounds. This is probably like 5 years ago. The guy put the rebounds straight into the box, and I coached 6 years old guys, and the thing the goalkeepers learn is you get a shot, you push it out to the corner, or you push it out to the side. You don't push it into the box because then they'll come and score at you. So that was my first problem.
So people are going to twist that and say that you're saying that your 6-year-olds that you coach are better than Handanovic. That's what they're going to say.
And that was my first thing. And then I think, the guy openly stated that, he wanted to leave and stuff like that. And I kind of got over that. But I think as a goalkeeper, for me, he lacked leadership, charisma. I never feel with him as he's a kind of dominant goalkeeper that will own his penalty area. The cross comes in, the defender knows, no, I'm not touching this because the goalie has it. When you go from, and I think this is the perspective as well, when you go from Julio Cesar and Toldo and the guys that I grew up seeing at Inter. And, people before me will tell you Walter Zenga and the guys, Pagliuca. There are a lot of Inter goalkeepers that are really good. And when you put into perspective, I think that Samir, he lacks a lot of things that I want to see in a goalkeeper. And my main problem is that since he came 2012 until now, he only started improving his flaws with Spalletti when he started to use his feet. And that's something I've been very quick to praise him on, because I think he is a key part of Inter's build-up and Inter's game plan. Because his feet, the game with his feet is really good. But the thing is that this whole thing between me and Handanovic is born between me not thinking the guy is a top 5, top 3 or world class, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, because he simply isn't good enough, for that level, in my opinion. I see so many football games. I see so many goalkeepers do so many ridiculous saves so many times per game. And with this guy, I it's too many times that I don't. And for me, and for all the Inter fans out there, I really hope that he can have a better season this season than he did last season, because otherwise you're not winning shit. It's as easy as that. Like that's the thing. So just for me, he lacks, just shortly, he lacks in the charisma. He lacks in the leadership. He lacks in some parts of, crosses coming in where he is very unsafe. And he's very good on the line. He's very good in reflexes, and that's why I get provoked when he sometimes doesn't try. But if you can't get the ball, I don't have a problem, But if you can't get the ball and you try, sometimes you do a miracle. But if you don't try, sometimes you end up, letting shots in that you probably should have taken. So I don't hate the guy. I just don't rate him as highly as many others do. And there were times where I wanted Alisson from Roma and people were laughing at me. I wanted, Ederson probably, and people were laughing at me. I wanted Navas from Real Madrid when he was back there winning 3 Champions League titles in a row, but it couldn't. And I'm the first to say the guy has to stay. Because the guy, you can't spend 100 millions on a goalkeeper today if you're Inter. But when the occasion comes to sign a guy like Oblak, I'm hoping Inter breaks the bank. I personally contribute to get a goal.
Be careful, this is on video. They're gonna hold you to it.
Coach gonna call you tomorrow.
Yo, we got a comment. Speaking about ratings, it says, tell Siavoush Handanovic is 88 rated in FIFA, second best player in Serie A in the game.
Yeah.
I assume you're very happy about that?
You have to put in the GIF with Mourinho that says, "If I speak, I'm in big trouble." Because the guy had his worst season in so long. And I saw they asked me about the best goalkeepers in the league, and I think people really sleep on Szczesny.
I agree with that.
I think since 3 or 4 years back, even since with Roma under Spalletti, the guy was a monster. I know he messed up against Milan in that game, and I know Donnarumma was amazing as well, but I think very many are sleeping on Szczesny. I think he's a really good goalkeeper, and they're probably sleeping on the guy because he was shit at Arsenal, which was 6 years ago.
Yeah, there's actually a question from Saturnian, and he said, "Ask Sia please to rank the best goalkeepers in Serie A." To piggyback off that,
just do like the top 5. You don't
yeah,
like
top 3. No, do all 20, please, all 20. I need to know every single one.
Goalkeeper, where do you rate it?
So I'm for me it's really difficult to do the one between Donnarumma and Szczesny, because last season I think they were almost on par. But
that's fair.
I'd go with Szczesny. He finished higher up, has a better team in front of him, of course.
And then
two Donnarumma for me, based on last season. I think it's easier like that.
3
gets really hard because that's probably when Samir comes in and,
I was gonna say
has to be on the podium.
Yeah. But what's the difference between 1 and 2 and the 3?
I think for me they make more difficult saves per game, and they let in less, let's say, normal goals per game. I know Handanovic had 17 clean sheets last season, but the last 5 games the guy didn't even get a shot against him.
Yeah.
so goalkeeping, it's fun because goalkeeping stats. I worked a bit with the stats and the data, and goalkeeping stats is so hard to judge, because then people will come and say, hey, this guy has the highest saving percentage. And then you'll see like Handanovic has the lowest one, but that's because he let in 2 screamers in the top corner. It doesn't mean he's a worse goalkeeper, right? But the stats there is really difficult to evaluate. But for me, like the things that Donnarumma and Szczesny give their team, give their defense, give, in authority, in charisma, and glow, and game. For me, in that they beat Handanovic.
Okay.
I wouldn't disagree.
And at least at the moment. And then there are other good goalkeepers in Serie A as well. I think before his injury, Cranio in Cagliari, of course.
Yeah.
He's a really good goalkeeper. You had probably
Sirigu.
Yeah, Sirigu. Really
he's older,
good.
But he's very good.
Yeah, you got.
What do you think of Meret? Yeah, what do you think of Meret?
Got Meret. I was coming to Meret, who I think is an exceptional talent. I think we're a bit spoiled by Donnarumma because he's so solid, even though he's young.
Yeah.
But I think Meret is also a kind of goalkeeper that people are a bit underestimating, because, he sometimes messes things up that Handanovic wouldn't mess up.
And Gattuso, I think, prefers Ospina just because apparently he's better with his feet than Meret. But
yeah, and that's really important. But, Meret is 23 years old.
And Ospina's like 30.
Donnarumma spoiled us all because he's so young and so solid. So we expect
he's like a veteran right now. Yeah, he's so young. Yeah. He's like playing for decades, it feels like.
And that guy has to be good when he's 27, 28, 29. Like, that's when those guys are at the best.
Exactly. Goalkeepers especially.
Yeah. But you have Musso.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Really interesting goalkeeper.
Uh-huh.
But for me, I think the Champions League final showed everyone in the world, what really good goalkeepers.
Yeah, they were beasts.
Apart from Neuer, Navas.
So good. He's underrated. He's so underrated.
Yeah, Real Madrid.
So I see those guys, the saves they make against the type of players, because even though Serie, is coming back, you don't have the Messis, the Neymars, you have Cristiano, of course, but the top players in the world, unfortunately, are playing in La Liga and Premier League, except Cristiano, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Against those guys on that level, doing that kind of save, that's goalkeeping.
Mm-hmm.
That's world class. That's top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the world.
Where would you put Strakosha? Because I hear a lot of back and forth on that. Do you think he's good? Do you think he's like a little underrated, overrated, makes too many mistakes?
Forget Strakosha. What about Carnesis?
Come on. This guy.
I think the Serie A goalkeepers are okay. Like
Except
I
Carnesi.
I really can't think of many goalkeepers in this league that I say are really bad or
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are straight
That's
out.
true.
The level is high. The level, like the
Yeah.
average goalkeeper is high.
Goalkeepers, yeah.
Like goalkeepers in today's football, they're good. They know what to do. They play well. It's
Except Adeli. Inter got to get a better second keeper. That guy's
Yeah.
horrible.
yeah, and they got Radley this year, who's good. And that's
Yeah.
the thing as well. When you talk about 1 point, which isn't 1 point to Juve, we played with Padelli for 4
That's
games.
true. Yeah.
Yo, the 1 point is like saying it's like the same stat as Berni has never conceded a goal since he joined the Inter.
This-
A
the same
little
guy.
skewed.
But true.
That's what I'm saying with charisma and attitude. The guy, I don't remember what game it was. I think it was against Parma away.
I think
Inter
it was, yeah.
down, and the guy just went crazy on a thing and got a red card, and the team ended up turning it around. Of course, it wasn't due to his red card, but just that type of passion, that type of anger, that type of shithousery sometimes can do very much for the team.
Bring him back, man. Bring him back. That's what I'm saying. Forget
But I had
Handanovic.
Julio Cesar
That's
who
true.
would walk home. He'd walk home when Inter were defeated because he was so
Really?
angry.
I never heard that
Wow.
story. I never heard that before.
And I went to find this guy.
That's funny.
I respect Handanovic, but
Yeah, your expectations are too high, though. You're letting
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
down.
He,
Nah,
he
nah.
probably lives in Como, so it's 10 hours. To walk. But, Julio Cesar for me.
Yeah, I know. He's
From-
top of the world.
from-
man.
Bro, you know what the solution is? Let's get a boxing ring. Let's get you some gloves and Handanovic some gloves, and let's settle this once and for all. I think that's the only way to conclude that.
Yeah, but he doesn't move, so I'll win. He'll just try to eyeball me.
Bro, you just gave Twitter exactly what they were hoping for.
man.
They're, oh my god, that's
Like
like
me and Handanovic would be like, "You eyeballing me, motherfucker!"
He's tall, though. He's
yeah,
very
yo, he's kind of
tall.
scary. I feel like he's got some inner strength into him too,
Yeah,
man. I don't know. That guy's got a low.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and he's a Balkan guy, so
Yeah, exactly.
He's Slovenian.
Exactly.
He
That's
knows-
true.
he
They have a
knows
different
stuff.
type of strength. That's
They
true.
He's tough.
Yo, so onto serious questions, because we've been joking around a lot. Let's get a serious question. Cenzo Rossi says, octopus sandwich or pizza?
See, was all like ready. He had a serious face. Like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do this one.
yeah. So I go with pizza, but a day at the beach, an octopus panino. It's not a hamburger. People say a hamburger. It's a panino, an octopus hamburger with the beer. You guys.
I gotta
Yeah,
try that.
you're-
I
you're-
love octopus.
You're a Greek.
And-
You shouldn't be laughing. Like this is
No,
like
no, I was laughing. I love octopus. I can eat that
Yeah.
for the rest of my life. And I won't
You know why
complain.
he's laughing? He's laughing
I was
because
laughing-
Antonio will say that he will have octopus any day of the week, anytime.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
obsessed with octopus.
Yeah, no,
So it's
But
become a joke
he's
over
from
here.
southern Italy. It's the
Yeah.
delicacy. But I got a lot of Middle Eastern followers who are like, we can't see this. We can't eat this.
Oh, man.
I go with pizza, but that octopus, amazing.
I gotta
Amazing.
try that.
I got you. I understand what you're saying. I understand.
Amazing.
It makes sense. What was I gonna say? We got a good question, and I don't. This is perfect for you. It's from Super Swagman. What a name! I wonder if that's on his birth certificate. It'd be interesting if it was. He said, "Ask Sia why many Swedish youngsters don't get hyped like their fellow Scandinavian counterparts. Is there a slowdown in the talent, or simply not enough media attention?" And I ask this because I have no clue. So
Like Norwegian.
I'm actually
Haaland,
like
I
guessing.
guess?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Or like, who else? would it be?
I think there are more talents coming out of Sweden than ever before. Like we were all thinking, what's going to happen when Zlatan retires, right? But we got Alexander Isak, who's in Real Sociedad.
Yeah, we noticed the talent that Sweden has a couple of
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, but that was that
Ventura
was
didn't notice the talent. We noticed the talent.
Yeah, but you got Kulusevski, who's really good. But the thing is that I think Norway, especially with Haaland and with Ødegaard, and Norway, they've been shit at football for like
You just said it
No,
straight.
since-
You didn't sugarcoat that at all.
I didn't think that was
No,
coming.
No, but since World Cup '98, they've been really bad.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, you see these two, uh, two guys pop up, and Ødegaard, of course, he was signed by Real Madrid when he was 16 years old. That's going to get media attention, and
That's true.
Haaland, the guy, the guy
He's a beast.
came into Champions League as if it was nothing and just kept on scoring goals. And Alexander Isak, for example, Swedish talent, or Dejan Kulusevski, Swedish talent, they just haven't been in the Champions League yet. So I think there's not a stop in Swedish talent production. There's probably more than ever, and there's probably more Norwegians ever. I like to call it the Zlatan effect, because Norway didn't have a very big star for very long. So like all of Scandinavia, even though they don't like admitting it, looked at Zlatan, the guy who went from Sweden to the biggest clubs in the world and delivered. And in Sweden, there's been a talent boom. You got so many players that are out in Europe. You got so many. The league is better. The players are better. So I think the media isn't sleeping on Sweden talents. I think that just in order to get the attention that the Norwegian guys are getting, you have to do it in the Champions League, or you have to be a very spectacular player like Ødegaard is. That's the thing with Ødegaard. He's fantastic to look at. And I think the problem is, Serie A, unfortunately, Kulusevski, even though he's done so well, it's not a league that is internationally as powerful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Especially if you were at Parma. If he does it at Juventus, then for sure
true.
it would be
Yeah,
everywhere.
because if the guy delivers now at Juve,
Then yeah.
Juve plays Champions League and they will,
Exactly.
go for the Scudetto again. That's a whole different thing. That's a
Exactly.
whole different thing.
We're getting a lot of questions saying to ask you about Robak, the Milan young player.
Yeah. I would love to express myself, but I don't know the guy at all. And I see a lot of guys on Twitter that express opinions based on things they don't know. And I don't want to be that guy, because I don't know him.
Okay,
I
that's
saw
fair.
him. I saw him in the preseason, and he got an assist, and he looked like an interesting player. I know there's been interest from other clubs for him, so he's probably a good talent. But a 17-year-old Swedish guy in AC Milan competing with Theo Hernandez, the guy isn't going to play. The guy probably isn't going to play. He can be a good talent, but it's another fact. Unfortunately, with Serie A, it's really hard for this type of signing to get a lot of playing time at AC Milan. It's really difficult. I hope he gets playing time, but I can't tell you so much about him, because he went straight from their youth team more or less to Milan. And I cover a Swedish league, so I know the Swedish league quite well and the talents that play in the league. But if you haven't got playing time, I don't know you, because I don't hang around the training ground where the young guys are. So I would love to tell these guys something that they didn't know, but I don't know.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
We appreciate that more, because we're the same way when someone asks us about like a different league.
Yeah, we've gotten some hate for not giving our
knowing,
opinion on somebody that we
rather than
didn't
lying
know.
and saying something.
Wait, I know you're very passionate. You go to a lot of games and you're always at the stadiums. What's the best game you've ever watched live?
There are many games for different reasons. I'd say the absolutely best game was Inter Bayern 3-2. Bayern Inter 3-2. 2-3. I was at the home game in the Champions League. It was the round of, I don't know what you guys called it, Ottavi, the round of 8.
The 16, round of 16?
Round of 16, yeah. So Inter lost the first game at home to Bayern. It was a Julio Cesar howler for the Andanovic fans.
that came full circle to you.
The last minute. So I think until then, there was no team ever in the Champions League. And this is a fun thing, because nowadays people that lose home turn away stuff away all the time. But back then, I think 2011, it hadn't happened in the modern era, for so many years. And Inter was up against this amazing Bayern team. Robben, Ribéry, Gomez, Müller, all of the guys. The team that went on to win the Champions League 2 years after, and Inter, turned it around in true Pazza Inter style. And I was there at an away game with 5,000 Inter fans against 60,000 Bayern fans, and Bayern took the lead. And there's a situation that you guys, when you go on YouTube and see, it's Ranocchia who's clearing the ball off the line. And if you see that situation, you can't understand how the ball isn't in, because Ranocchia reacts, 20 seconds after he should be reacting, and slide. And the ball bounces off his cleats onto, I don't know who it is, Gomez or Ilic or, someone. Off his cleats onto the post and out. And it's, Ribéry missing one against Julio Cesar. No, Inter took the lead 1-0 with Eto'o after 10 minutes. And then Bayern turned it around to 2-1 and had 10 chances to do it.
Wow.
Then Inter scores 2-2. Schneider, I think, my memory. And then in the 90th minute, Pandev. Goran Pandev comes up after Eto'o, does everything. And I want you, if you go and look at that goal, you will see Nagatomo, who is just, randomly running. And he's, if you look at him detailed, you're going to see that this guy is 1 centimeter from more or less, cutting Eto'o off. But he's just randomly running. And then Pandev scores. And, when Pandev scores, when you're at an away game, you don't know anything, because you just either, you just stand, or either you just fly. So you go 5 rows down, and everyone is screaming. And yeah, so that was obviously a great game. And I remember this moment after the game. So we were obviously coming home from the game, and we had a great time. Away fans, when you're an away fan at that big stadium, and they are silent, and you guys are singing and causing havoc, it's the best feeling. But then we go back to the hotel, and we're like 4 guys in the elevator, and this Bayern fan comes in, and it's quite stiff. It's quite stiff. So we're like, yeah, good game. And he's like, yeah, and we're like, next year you probably win. You got a great team. And he was like, yeah, you got Eto'o. And he just left. And that's like because during the game, I'd remember when Eto'o got the ball, you just could hear, 60,000 Germans going, that's how good this guy was in that game. It's probably the best performance I've ever seen from a player at a stadium.
Wow.
And then I've seen the 15 last derbies at the stadium. So it was 2 times when Inter won 4-2, which when they turned the game around, that's
very good.
Amazing football. Zlatan scored in both the games. Maicon scored. It was when Juve won their first title. Amazing football, a lot of goals, a lot of quality. So I think I saw Italy face Spain in the Euros.
I thought you were about to say something really bad.
No, that was a bad football game, but good for me because I had fun. But
we met each other at that game, so that's the only thing that saved it.
And I saw the away game as well. But I saw Italy face Spain in the Euros 2012, I think it was. It was actually my first career job. And I saw Pirlo at his best. Like when Pirlo was at his best. I don't know how young the guys who are following you are, but Pirlo was a majestic player. He looked slow, but the guy couldn't lose the ball. And he went up against, the golden Spanish era with Xavi and Iniesta. With Iniesta is probably also top 3 players I've ever seen on the field. But that was such a good game to see. Italy, how they performed, how Spain performed, was the best team in the world, and stuff like that. Then I've seen a lot of shit games. I've seen a lot of Torino games, a lot of Parma games, a lot of Hellas games. But people say I want to send this message out to the North American fans that say that Olimpico in Turin and Bentigodi at Kievo looks like shit on the TV. It does, but when you're there, those stadiums are amazing.
When they're full,
only when they're full.
No, those stadiums are amazing. I'm telling you guys. I've seen Hellas with 20,000 people singing. It's the best. Olimpico, and people say Turin is a shit town. That's also false. Turin is
that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah. Good food. Maybe no octopus, but a lot of good stuff. You get a lot of good things, and the stadium, for me, who likes atmosphere and the sound levels that come in those stadiums are great. They look shit on TV, I agree, but the atmosphere over at Bentegodi, for example, fantastic.
Have you been to the Ferraris, Luigi Ferraris, the Marassi, Genoa Stadium, Sampdoria's?
No, unfortunately, no.
It's
I
very
love there.
nice.
I love that.
That's one of my favorites in Serie A. I've been to a few in Serie A.
We never went to Bentegodi, but I didn't like the Olimpico when it depends also the situation, the match. There are certain moments that I went to San Siro. We went to San Siro. Milan against Torino, one of the most boring matches I've ever seen. Yeah. Empty. It was atrocious. It was horrible. It was not nice. Yeah. Then a week later, we went to Inter Juventus when it was Coppa Italia, and Inter came back 3-3, and it went into extra time with this packed out San Siro, and it's beautiful. It's the most incredible thing. So of course the match and it being full for me made a big difference.
The Inter fans are good as well.
We went to an Inter game. Yeah, continue, go.
No, I've seen a lot of Milan fans as well, and Milan.
The shots are coming.
Milan and Inter, they got good fans and good atmosphere, but when it's Inter Juve, it's obviously different. Yeah. But Milan, if you go there on a Champions League night, it doesn't matter who the guys are playing. I've seen a couple of Milan games at the stadium. I've seen them against Atletico, and that when it's European night, even against Arsenal in the Europa League, when it's European nights, San Siro, but Milan, they give their best. They're a bit colder when the team isn't performing, but they got a loud curva. I think Roma as well, loud fans. They can be 15,000 in there, but they're going to break your ears.
Yeah. That's true.
We got a fun question. It's from The Flow. He said, if you had to choose one, Conte's wig or Handanovic's shirt, which one you taking?
Conte's wig all day.
All day.
Oh, man.
But Handanovic shirt, I was a big Handanovic fan back in the days, but, it just got, I don't know if you guys, like the two situations that I can remember. One is on Morata against Juventus in the last minute. Conte was the Juve coach. Juve came with a really bad team. It was 1-1, and Morata pulls off a shot not even he believes in, and Handanovic lets it in. Go see that. Go see that. And then you see against Fiorentina when Salah scored the rebound. You see things like that at the stadium. It's difficult to melt. And then the game that I like for me, where you can't defend them, is when Juve won 3-2 at San Siro. You watch those three goals.
So you don't think I should swap out the Zanetti jersey for Handanovic shirt? You don't agree?
I'd burn your plate if you did.
Oh my God!
It depends on your taste, of course. I probably have a lot of signed shirts at my home as well, but I probably have a Samir Handanovic signing somewhere. But
I lost it.
I lost it.
I
don't like that we both did the same thing. What?
I gave away my Pazzini one because I have this friend who loved Pazzini, and the guy went to Milan, and I was like, "You love this guy so much, it's not even funny. So you'll have my shirt." But I have some really nice shirts that I will never give away. I have Julio Cesar signed. I have Zanetti and the Milito and the Cambiaso, the treble heroes. Those I value really highly.
That's great. Wow.
Since those days,
Not too many.
also I became a journalist, of course, so I can't really ask for autographs and selfies and stuff because I might have to interview that guy after. But back in the days when I was doing a lot of like fanboy stuff, I used to go and try to meet these stars, and
The
I think
icons.
also football changed. I don't know about you guys, but the way I loved Zanetti and Milito,
Yeah.
I've never loved the football players in that way since then.
Do you think it's because we're in the industry now? Because I felt the same exact way. But I mean, this guy Del Piero for me is like the only one that I would ever have that kind of emotional connection to. But I think part of it just becomes like working in it. I don't know. But I do think definitely modern football contributes to that. But I think probably the bigger factor is us working in it.
I think mostly for me is that none of these players have given me reason to fall in love. Like I watch a lot of international football, and I see players that I enjoy watching, like Messi and Neymar and Lewandowski, for example, players that I love watching. But I just don't, feel that they love the game as much as I love it. I just don't feel
The
that
bandiera is a little bit lost.
Yeah, the respect, and that's why I like Tonali to Milan, because he can become one of those guys that Milan fans love passionately, like like old
Like a
style
Maldini.
Milan
Yeah.
fan. He can become a star,
Okay.
that kind of guy. Yeah, and in Inter, it's been a really long time that Bastoni maybe, Barella maybe, but it's just different, and I think it's also due to Inter not winning.
Yeah,
Because
it's true.
when these guys, like for example, if Rodrigo Palacio would have won for Inter, I would have loved him as much as I
Yeah.
loved Lito, probably, because he was so good. You know.
Wow.
So I definitely think modern football, that's what I really dislike about it the most. Is not the typical stuff that people say, the money, the broadcasting, the times. It's the players. Mourinho said that as well. He went from coaching Drogba, Eto'o, Zanetti, people who had, sacrificed so much in life, given so much in life, and he just now turns up and sees 17 years old that make big money from when they start playing football and think they're, the best.
It's true.
So the industry and the game, it changed,
Change over time.
and I think that's a bit sad.
I definitely feel you on that, and I feel the same sentiment. I almost forgot that we have Antonio's question. I want to conclude. What do you have? Do you have your WhatsApp on your computer, or do you have the stream on your computer? Which one should I send it to?
Let me. How do I find the stream?
Go on YouTube, Italian Football TV. You want me to send it to you?
No, because I'm on the. Let's see. So I'm on Italian Football TV. Here you go.
Got it?
Yeah, I can see myself. That's really awkward.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on the screen right now, and I got Antonio's video. It's gonna start right away. This is personally directly to you, so here you go. All right, Sia. So we just got a FaceTime from Antonio. He heard that we were gonna have you on the live stream, and he couldn't be here, so he's got a question for you. Anto, we were talking to Sia right now. From Antonio, he heard that we were gonna have you on the live stream, and he couldn't be here, so he's got a question for you. Anto, we were talking to Sia right now. Antonio, he heard that we were gonna have you on the live stream, and he couldn't be here, so he's got a question for you. Anto, we were talking to Sia right now. Antonio, he heard that we were gonna have you on the live stream, and he couldn't be here, so he's got a question for you.
I think I have to shut you guys down.
What happened? You don't hear it?
Yeah, you have to do it again.
Alright, see ya. So we just got a FaceTime. What happened? You don't hear it? He heard that.
Yeah, I couldn't understand.
Alright, see ya. I think it got a little messed up. Okay, I'll send it to you after. I'll send it to you after on WhatsApp. I think the chat saw it, but basically what he had said was, if you can, yeah, just mute the thing. What he said, what are you gonna win this year?
Yeah, he said, what do you guys think your objectives are going to be for next season?
He said you were supposed to win it all. Are you gonna win it all again this year?
With a lot of banter in between that we didn't add in. That you'll see after.
Yeah. On the top of the August Mercato Scudetto, he comes with this. I've said, I think I always have to be consequent, right, with what I'm saying. I think Inter has to compete to win the Scudetto and the Coppa Italia. That is the least the team has to do. And because I have a very hard time saying you have to win, because I don't see Inter, for example, buying Cristiano Ronaldo, and saying we have to. I see a team that could probably have won last year if they did things differently, and I'm hoping that they are doing those things differently this season. So we have to 100%. Inter has to compete to win the Scudetto. They have to compete to win the Coppa Italia, because I don't think Inter competed last year to win the title. I think they were never close. But I think that they competed for the Coppa Italia title. And that's a big difference. So for me, I have to see Inter competing for the titles. I think Juve are the favorites because they have the most complete team. They have the best team. They have Cristiano Ronaldo. The question mark at Juve was, of course, the coach, but we can't judge him before the season starts. So let's not do that. Let's watch the team, the things that we know. Juve the favorite. And one thing that's very important for me is that Inter. It's also fun because I say they have to make it through the group, but then if you get Liverpool and who could you get in the second, Atletico Madrid, that becomes difficult. But seeing the economical situation and the coronavirus, the Champions League becomes more important than ever. So if I can choose between going far in the Champions League and making shitload of money and taking a Copa, I'm taking the Champions League every day of the week. Every day of the week, going through there. So for Antonio, Inter competes for 2 titles and they make it through the group, and the season is okay. And then we'll have to see if Inter gets one of those ghost goals ruled out, they might win the title as well.
You know what's so funny though? Even if let's just say in a hypothetical world, right? Inter win the Coppa Italia, win the Scudetto, go to the Champions League final and lose, Antonio will call your season a failure.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but then, that's what happened to Juve, right? And then it's been nothing else. And I think it's a part of the game. Like I said on Twitter, because I read this funny opinion that people should be rooting for Italian teams, and I know you guys probably do, and I respect that. But I don't want a guy like Antonio to be happy if Inter wins. I want Antonio to rip Inter into pieces, and then I want Antonio to be ready for when that comes back.
Oh my
This is why I
God,
love you.
that's hilarious.
That for me is football. I don't want Juve fans to sit and celebrate if Inter wins the league. It's good for Italian football. Or in Europe, if they go to win the Champions League. If Juve doesn't win and Inter wins the Champions League, why should those guys be happy? it doesn't give the league anything. It just gives Inter something.
You're triggering every one of Michael's
triggering
bones
me.
right now. We had this debate where, I had said that I agree and I understand where you're coming from. Michael doesn't like to understand or agree with it because he thinks in his way. I think that definitely the rivalry is part of it, and it's also part of where you're from, what business you're in. All these kinds of things definitely play a factor.
For sure.
But I know Michael will go on a rant about this. I don't think it's worth it to go down.
What would Real
No,
Madrid?
you can rant.
What would Real Madrid and Barcelona fans say? It's like, oh, Inter won the Champions League or Juve won
This
it.
is such a
I
bad
gotta watch a
promo.
Serie. I was like, wow, they're actually becoming the good league like the '90s again. I was like, maybe I should start watching them. You know what I'm
But
saying?
then you go and then you watch the Brescias and the Hellas.
We did our job
Juve-
from there. We're bringing the ice to the league. We can't do anything else. We can't tell Brescia to fix up their stadium after.
I think that's that part, when you got too many friends liking other leagues, that tells you
Exactly.
why are you watching that defensive shit league Serie A, and you're like, damn, I need this banter to stop. But for me, like, I think the league needs to improve in another way. Like, for me, I can definitely say I would think it would be good for AC Milan to be back in the Champions League, because that would mean returning to their DNA. And I think once Milan returns to the Champions League and they feel that they are back, they're going to be very, very tough. They're going to be feeling where we should be again. We're like Inter did. They got the Champions League on the last day, and now they made it 3 years in a row. And people always say, yeah, but Inter didn't win a title for 10 years. And I say, I'd rather go to the Champions League 3 years in a row than win a Supercoppa once in 5 years. So,
That's true.
because the money today in the Champions League, it's
40
worth
million at least.
more than the titles, and you get 3 million for every game you win. So you're probably up at 50 millions if you win 3 group games. But so we came very long from the stuff. But I think the league should improve in another way.
Okay.
And the league should improve, and the fans should be let being fans, because many years ago you'd fight for the coefficient and the stuff, and I saw people thinking that France were actually close to Italy, but they're shit far behind. So you don't have to hope for Atalanta against PSG or something like that. You don't really need to. So people who want to hate, just so you don't need to hope for Italian teams. But if you do, I don't really mind.
I share the same perspective. I'm like, everybody could do what they want, and it doesn't really matter to me. I agree with you. I don't think it makes as much of a difference. So I think the perspective is there. I know we went so long, which I loved it because the conversation went amazing. I have one last thing that I want to ask you, and it's about Eriksen. Where do you think Eriksen plays a role in next season with Conte?
I'm hoping as one of 3 central midfielders.
So who would be your starting midfield then?
So for me, at the moment, it would be probably Barella, Vidal, Eriksen.
I like how it says at the moment Vidal didn't sign.
No,
yet. That's
Vidal.
good.
Vidal. We count Vidal.
No, it's true.
It's not like you're saying Conte.
If we don't take him, I'm going with Barella, Sensi, and Eriksen.
No,
Okay.
we can put Vidal.
I think you're optimistic with Eriksen.
I think as well, because I'm starting to see it as a problem.
Yeah. You know what's kind of messed up?
What?
I'm watching the Tottenham All or Nothing documentary. I don't know if you've seen it yet. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw some of the parts. Yeah,
Did you get to the Eriksen part yet?
I saw on Twitter the clips with him, but I haven't seen
Not
it.
the Inter part. There's clips about Eriksen and how he wasn't playing and so I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone, but
with Mourinho and
yeah, I'll save it. But it started to put some doubts in my head where Mourinho spoke about some of his work ethic a little bit. So it did put a little bit of doubt into my head. But I'll save it for anyone that wants to watch. I'm not gonna ruin it for you. We'll talk about it next week or something.
The thing with the documentary, right, is that I've got a bit of a feeling, and I think you guys seen the Juve documentary probably as well.
Yeah,
Is
the
that
Juve
when
one's horrible though.
Yeah, but when you do a documentary like that, some of the stuff is going to be left out.
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
I feel like the contract talk situation, it could be real, but it could also be so made up to show that, we want to keep you, we'd pay you anything you want. But then, Mourinho, now he lacks that last part. And I don't know, for me, a guy like Eriksson shouldn't be the type of player to have to give that 100%, let's say, in tackling and winning the ball and having grinta. Like, for me, that guy needs to be put in a position where he can actually distribute the ball, create chances, score chances. The guy is a top chance creator in the Premier League the last few years, top assist last few years, top chances created. It's I can't really, and that's one of my criticisms against Conte, is that he is a bit
stubborn,
limited.
Yeah,
that's
true.
100% agree. That's one thing we're pushing the whole time. I know we said that was going to be the last thing, but we do have a donation from Gio that we got to answer. He says, Sia, do you think the new stadium project for Milan and Inter are crucial for them to compete with the rest of the European elite?
Yes, 100%. I love San Siro. It's been my second home for the last 15 years. I've seen 70 or 60 games there between Inter and Milan. I think it's the greatest stadium in Europe on a European or big game night. I personally would have loved to see them rebuild or restructure or remake it. But if they have decided that that's not an option, that means that they have to make another decision. And I think the new stadium is crucial in getting the money, because Inter and Milan are making quite good money from that, but they will make a lot more when that's done. My only problem with the new stadium is that it has nothing from San Siro, because it would have been a really easy thing to make the round things, or just something from the old stadium to kind of take away nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly.
Because San Siro, it's been the host of World Cups, Champions League finals, derbies, back in the days, the guys. Yeah. So, it's absolutely crucial to get a new stadium.
I think we're all in agreement. Guys, everyone, Sia, first of all, thank you for being with us and joining us. It's been long awaited. Everybody go follow him on Twitter. I'm going to drop his link right now on Twitter.
Sia, I just got to ask a last quick question for me. No one else asked that.
Three last quick questions.
I just want to ask you, if you can have one dish for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
Oh.
I like this question. I feel like it's interesting. I'll give you a minute. It's the rest of your life. It's the rest of your life. He's actually. This is harder than the other questions we asked.
Because I'm Iranian, so I have the Persian cuisine.
Okay.
And then I have the Italian cuisine that I love.
And the Scandinavian.
The Scandinavian is not so much to brag about.
I was being kind.
No, but I'd probably have. If I can have one dish, I'd probably go with, the red tuna.
Red tuna?
Yeah, the red or yellow pin tuna, grilled, and that you can eat with potatoes. You can eat it with salad. You can eat it with everything. I'm either that or lobster or.
Okay, so seafood. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, not octopus for the disappointment of the chat. Not octopus.
Antonio's mad at you. He's even more mad. But guys, honestly, Sia, he's a great follow on Twitter and everything that he does. I love your perspective. I think we share very similar sentiment in the way that we support teams and in the way that we act. Like, I love that you're able to give.
Sia's very unbiased with the stuff he says, even though he's a big Inter fan.
I love that you're able to give credit where credit's due and just not see it as giving Milan credit. How you said, I love that Tonali went to Milan, is not seen as hitting on your Inter fandom. So I love that about you.
I grew up with the best team I've seen was after the treble Barcelona was Milan with Shevchenko, with Kaká, with Nesta, with Maldini. those guys were the bomb. I don't think the young generations understand how good Shevchenko was. I really don't think they get it. And and now, like when he played, I can't say I love the guy. I can't say that. but now I respect him. I respect him a lot, and I watched back on what you had to face. So I grew up with a great Milan team. And I respected that Milan team, and I respect Milan as a club today as well. So for me, it's just normal. But when I'm in the stadium after 2 or 3 beers, and with my friends, and I'm watching game, I might not be so nice. But when we're talking here and when I work, it's totally different.
Awesome,
Wow.
man.
That was awesome.
Again, guys, check him out. We dropped his link over there.
Nice
See ya.
move.
Thank you for being with
that
us.
was fun.
I know it's freaking late where you are right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you're doing it, but you're a
Always
beast.
nice to talk about football.
Exactly.
Awesome.
All right, bro. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
joining us.
hopping on,
Chat,
man.
everybody that was
Thanks,
in,
guys.
leaving comments. Thank
Thanks
you. We
for the
appreciate
chat.
you so much.
And check out Sia's stuff.
See ya next time. We gotta go back. I know you've been avoiding us because we always beat you in FIFA. It's totally not the other way around. It's not that you beat us. It's always us beating you. So you gotta stop running from us. And the next time we'll play. All right.
Yeah. All good.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Good night,
We'll
Sia.
see you
Thanks
soon.
so much,
All right.
man.
See you, chat.
Take
Thank you,
care,
guys.
guys.